On behalf of SMMT, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a slightly delayed SMMT Electrified for 2023, but at least we're still in 2023. However, to start, let me take you back to before the train strikes, before climate change was actually understood, before many of us, including me, were even born, 1962. I believe that this nation should commit itself to landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to Earth. No single space project will be more exciting, more impressive, or more important, and none will be so difficult or expensive. The words of President John F. Kennedy, obviously, setting America on a path that would demand grit, determination, and courage. He went on, we choose to do these things not because they are easy, but because they are hard. And the automotive industry today has, to a certain extent, its own space rate. Albeit on the ground, the global race to net zero has no less significance, and the dangers to mankind of failure, perhaps even more so. Like the Apollo program, we are charting new territories, pushing the bounds of technology, going boldly, if you'll forgive me, where no one perhaps has gone before. And it is a pursuit of progress that demands action, demands grit, demands determination. We recognize the dangers of the climate crisis. We recognize our sector's contribution, and the industry has seized the initiative. We have developed technologies that move us away from fossil fuels. That was not evolution, that is revolution. The products you see today, the products you'll see outside here today, didn't appear by magic. Development of them started many years ago. And we did so because society needs to be mobile, but wants more than that, the freedom to move, to deliver goods and services, to help remote communities access one another, but to do so sustainably. Every manufacturer is doing this, and consumers love the products. And the industry here has become something of a success story. Despite Brexit, despite COVID, despite the shortages that followed, that is why we celebrate Stellantis' £100 million investment at Vauxhall Ellesmere Port to produce the electric commercial vehicles. Tata's plans to invest £4 billion in a gigafactory in Somerset, creating thousands of jobs. Only last week, BMW's £600 million commitment to build the new electric Mini in Cowley. And there's so many more from the likes of Ford, JLR, Bentley, Nissan, and Vision, the bus manufacturers, truck companies. Everyone is making that investment here in the UK, and we need that to continue. Now, government has invested itself millions of pounds to attract and sustain these developments, and that has been critical. But some describe these actions as a defensive move to shore up our sector. Well, if that is the case, I believe that attack is the best form of defense. Time to walk towards the challenge with that grit and determination. As an industry, we embrace the challenge of the 2035 deadline. Zero-emission vehicle production is ramping up. Sales of electric vehicles increase every year. Every part of our industry is gearing up to deliver net zero. From design to aftermarket, from cars to vans, trucks, taxis, buses, from batteries to hydrogen. It is indeed the most fundamental change in a century. But given the magnitude of this change, we need clarity, the certainty to plan with confidence. And we need good actions. Actions by us, but by others to support this mission. Like a solution to the threat of damaging rules of origin tariffs on the very vehicles we need consumers to buy. Like the need to maintain free and fair trade, collaboration across borders, and especially like clarity on what precisely the zero-emission vehicle mandate will mean for our transition. Until we see the regulations, we can't plan, and if we cannot plan, we cannot deliver. We still don't even know what vehicles can be sold from 2030. Uncertainty creates doubt, and doubt stokes negativity. And we've read a lot of negativity fairly recently. Calls for the government to drop 2030, to U-turn on the mandate, to ditch net zero. With respect, and I choose my words carefully, very carefully, where there is uncertainty, may the government bring certainty, because on decarbonisation, this industry is not for turning. Fleets and businesses thanks to tax breaks, are already driving sales of electric vehicles. But individual consumers now only account for a quarter of those sales. That's down from a third. Our EV market is now emerging from the early adopter phase. To move it into mass market, we need something more for individual consumers. Support not just the manufacturers to invest, but for the consumers to purchase. We know we must help consumers make that transition more quickly, and we also know what they want because we've asked them. In our survey, 2/3 of non-electric vehicle owners want to switch to EV, but more than half of them say they won't be ready until 2026 or later. So what would encourage them to move faster? It's two things: affordability and accessibility. Let's look at affordability first. 2/3 of all drivers would make the transition more quickly if financial incentives were on offer. So we believe every option needs to be considered. Targeted fiscal support to deliver a national benefit. Take VAT off the bonnet. Match VAT on public charging to domestic charging. After all, electric vehicles like solar panels and heat pumps are net zero products. And there should be no hesitation to recalculate or even exempt EVs from the vehicle excise duty expensive car supplement. When decarbonisation is the vital question, treating EVs as luxuries is not the answer. Secondly, accessibility. Again, 2/3 of all consumers say they would shift sooner if more working charge points were available. We need national infrastructure delivery, and we need it mandated, because a proper programme for charge points throughout the country, urban and rural, is not just a commercial imperative for our industry, it is a matter of social justice, a fair transition. If India can land a rocket on the dark side of the moon, surely we can put UK charge points in every part of the UK across our own land. We know this is what consumers want, and we can't afford for them to be duped by the myths of those who argue for delay. EVs don't cause a problem with potholes. Tired tarmac does. And as for saying they are too heavy for car parks and will cause them to collapse, that's a bit like saying schools are crumbling not because of aerated concrete, but because children's brains are just getting heavier. Next, they'll be telling us the moon landings were filmed in a TV studio in Burbank. I don't know, perhaps they already have. I personally like Buzz Aldrin's response to that. And if you don't know how he responded, suggest you Google it. But when he punched someone, he was 72 at the time. We are on the road to zero emission vehicles. And as an industry, as a society, we will not be turning back. It makes no sense to delay. It makes sense to deliver and deliver now for the climate and our economy. But we need a green automotive strategy, one that delivers industrial growth and net zero mobility for all. The prize for delivering these pledges is massive. £106 billion over the course of the next Parliament as UK plants ramp up to EV production to meet global demand between now and 2030. So now is the time to dispel the myths, cut the procrastination, invest, support, commit. And helping consumers buy these new technologies is the next step if we mean what we say. We are in a time of change. Inaction, indecision won't stop change, but it will stifle our ability to make the best of that change. So now is the time to act decisively, boldly. We can't avoid the future, but with bold steps, we can take a giant leap for our industry and for our country. Thank you very much.